there was a lot of people and a lot of artists, I go, man, their eyes are crooked, their anatomy, I thought wasn't very good, and I go, I can draw crooked eyes and do bad anatomy, so I'm going in that direction. And so I would take the books and the characters that I thought were not very good books, and I would do samples of those books. And one of the books I looked at was Coyote, right? There's this character, there he is right there, slashing, Coyote, and I sent my samples in, but they said, no, we've already got an artist doing Coyote, but we've got this backup story. How would you like to do a backup story in Coyote? Which, again, there was Marvel, there was Marpic, which was like this small creator, semi-creator friendly thing. The books, and then there was Coyote, and then there was the backup in Coyote. I mean, it was as far down, it was the mailroom. And but when they made the phone call, of which my lovely wife Wanda took the call, and I remember walking up to our trailer. We were living in a trailer, and oh man, here's my lovely wife. So we jumped at here. So okay, here's a picture here. So here's Wanda. This is Wanda and me. Wanda's probably 13, 14. Yeah, look at her, sassy. Look at that Princess Di haircut. Look at me, look at it. This is me at my high school graduation. Wanda's 13, 14. And then here we are recently at like San Diego or someplace like that. So that's, I don't know, Wanda, close your ears. That's almost close to 5 decades, like from that photo to the other photo. So it's been like I said, a joy of my life. But the pages I sent for Coyote that were starting in the mailroom, they gave it to you, and once you got a job's a job. Like, you don't become a beggar, right? You just go, no, I'll take it. I remember when the book came out, if you can see at the bottom of it, it says, introducing Todd Mcfarlane. They put my name in big. I didn't ask them to do that. But the thing that's sort of fun about that page, and you probably can't see it, if you go to the left, the second name there, the letterer, is Tom Warzikowski. Tom Warzikowski is the guy who has lettered every single issue of Spawn since the inception of that comic book. He's done 365 issues of the Spawn comic book, right? So, if you want a trivia question, who's worked on more pages of Spawn than anybody in the world? Tom Warzikowski, by far. And he also was the guy that was doing the letters on the X-Men, and I thought he was by far the best letterer. So when we started Image, I go, well, now we get to pick whoever we want. I want the best letterer. I think that's Tom Warzikowski. He happened to be the guy who lettered my very first gig, and so we sort of came full sort of circle, and he's still there. So I ended up jumping on Scorpio Rose. Scorpio Rose, I did 10 pages, and then they said, hey, do you want to redo the 10 pages from the previous issue? We're not happy with it, which was this character called Slash. So I did that. Even though it was the second job I did, it was the first one that got printed. For you, Slash story is the first one you saw. For me, it was like the second gig I did, right? So it's a weird thing in my head of like which one sort of, where's the chicken and where's the egg of how we got there. So let's go, let's see what else we got here. And then here's where you need to get your breaks. And like I said, I don't know why I've gotten breaks. And here's the harsh reality of the world at times. Somebody's break is somebody else's sort of tragedy. It can be a tragedy at times, and in this case it was. I was working on Coyote, and I was on it for maybe 4 issues, and then they said the book's getting canceled. So it took me years to get in, and then all of a sudden, it's like in 4 months, I'm unemployed. Now what do you do, right? Am I ever gonna get back into this business? And so the thing that I did was, I was able to send my samples off, and I was able to change one line in my letters to the editors. I was able to say I'm a pro, not an amateur. The amateur pile is high on their desk, right? The pile of people who are pros, professionals that are doing work at Marvel or DC that are looking for work gets a lot smaller. But because I had done 4 issues of Coyote at Marvel, I was able to change the line and say, I'm working at Marvel comic books. Do you have any work for me? And that made all the difference. Artistically and skill-wise, I was not 1 ounce better. In 4 months, at 10 pages, 40 pages, I didn't get much better, ladies and gentlemen. I was kind of the same guy, but I was a pro. And so I get a phone call, and this is the break, because I go, man, I'm out of comic books. I don't know if I ever get in. And this thought still haunts me today, of like, what if, right? The sliding door, what if? How would my career have shifted? I get the phone call, Roy Thomas phones up and he says, hey, I've got an opening on Infinity Incorporated. I need somebody to draw it for 2 months. The full book, not 10 pages, 25 pages. Can you do it? Yes. Like, what are you talking about? From 10 pages to 25 pages? Woo! I'm golden. And then I asked, like, well, why? What happened to your artist? He died. Right? It was a gentleman named Don Newton. Don Newton, you should look him up. I was a giant fan of his stuff. He had some of the best anatomy I ever saw of an artist. He also was a health freak. He was in men's muscle magazines, right? I literally think at times he took his shirt off, because I saw pictures of him, took his shirt off and drew himself, because he looked like a superhero, Don Newton. It was awesome. But he was such a health nut that he decided to have a health diet, whatever, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, nobody ever explained to me, he decided to drink unpasteurized milk. He had an allergic reaction. He was dead by the time he got to the hospital, right? So this specimen of a man dead because of one bad choice. And that one bad choice opens up a book. They want me to be on that book for 2 months, and I go, yes. And then somebody was supposed to follow me, and then after doing that book for 1 month, they said, hey, Todd, Roy Thomas, the writer, goes, you want to stay on the book? And I went, what? I thought you had somebody. Yeah, he bailed. And all of a sudden, bam, I had my first monthly comic book, right? And again, I still go, what if Don Newton doesn't drink that milk? Do I ever get back into comic books? I was unemployed. Do I ever get back in? And if I did get back in, do I have the career that I have today? I don't know. I don't know. I'll never have the answer. But every now and then it just sort of haunts me. It's in there. But here's the great thing. Once you do a comic book, and you can show people that you can do a monthly comic book, then in an industry that is built around monthly comic books, people then want you. You're in great demand. I've told people before, if you are Michelangelo and you cannot make a deadline, or you're mediocre and you can, you're more valuable to comic books as a mediocre artist than being Michelangelo. Because it's a deadline-driven business and you must get your pages done. So I showed them by being on Infinity Incorporated, I could do work at a fast pace, and I was getting faster and faster and faster. I left DC, went over to Marvel, because usually when you quit DC, you went to Marvel. If you quit Marvel, you went to DC, you went back and forth. And when I left, I go, hey, I'm gonna go over, I wanna see if Marvel has any work. But if you ever have any Batman stuff, I'll come back someday, right? Because I like Batman. I went over to Marvel, they did a couple of tests, and then they went very quickly, they went, how would you like to draw the Hulk, right? The Hulk. Now I have been in the industry now for 3.5 years at this point. And when I got the Hulk, that was when my mom and dad said, oh man, you made it, son, right? Oh man, you're like a professional comic book artist, right? I've been a professional comic book, I didn't get any more money for drawing the Hulk. Right? I was doing the same pages, getting paid the same amount of money. It's just that mom and dad knew the word Hulk, right? They could go to the party, they could talk to the neighbors at the barbecue and go, my son draws the Hulk, right? And again, there was a TV show that had just come out, which is way different than saying, my son draws Infinity Incorporated, right? Like, it don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. So it's like, mom and dad are like, oh man, you finally made it, Todd. And it's like, yeah, Dad, I've been doing this for quite some time, right? As a matter of fact, you remember Wanda and I got married. Right? We're married now because of that money I was making off Infinity Incorporated. We were able to basically get married, and we've been married because I'm a comic book artist. But that somehow slipped past you guys. But okay. Anyways, now self-sufficient, Wanda and I. Okay, here we go. I did Incredible Hulk, but at this point I was getting faster and faster and faster. Here's something you're looking at, just a little nuance. I used to have to do cover sketches, and then they would have to approve them, and then you would draw them, and even still, this is a finished penciled cover, the one off to the right. Even after I did it, they went, nah, we don't like it, it's not dynamic enough. We need you to fix it, we need you to redraw it. And so if you look at like Samson, the guy in the middle, look at the posing of his chest and sort of all the dynamics, and even Bruce Banner, his head's back a little bit. I had to just sort of punch it all up. So they would then get you to literally redraw an entire finished cover, right? And so, again, some of the frustrations were, why don't you just look at that when I give you the rough sketch and make the notes on the rough sketch? I could have saved myself 7, 8, 10 hours of drawing, right? But